Hey guys, what's going on? It's Cynical and welcome back to another video. Today for you guys, I wanted to just sit down and talk about the Spyro Reignited Trilogy, seeing as I actually haven't talked about it since it was initially revealed a couple of weeks ago. Now, you guys should know that I ended up getting my reaction out with the Keykeepers, and essentially the game got revealed while I was actually at PAX, so I couldn't really do any work to talk about it or sort of explain my thoughts. So essentially, I'm using this video to do exactly that. I've been itching to talk about Spyro for a little while, ever since it's actually now a real thing. We've been putting up with like 2 months worth of little hints and leaks and all that kind of stuff, and now it's a real, true, actual thing that's happening, and it's beautiful. My god, dude, is it beautiful. This has got to be, like, hands down, probably one of the best remasters, or what it really technically is, a remake. I know a lot of people are saying that this is a remaster, and people were saying the exact same thing with the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, but we do have to understand that if the developers are starting from scratch to recreate something with completely new assets, then technically this is a remake. So let's talk about this. So far we've got one trailer for the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. It's the initial announcement trailer to say, hey, the game's real, and yes, it's coming. It is releasing this year in September, so it's actually right around the corner. There's not too much waiting left to go, which is a really cool thing. Now, the trailer only showed Spyro 1, so this is in similar fashion to the way that Activision promoted the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy and the way that they worked their trailers. So when they first initially revealed the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, the very first trailer was only showing us Crash Bandicoot 1. Trailers after that consisted of Crash Bandicoot 2, and then trailers after that leading up to the actual release of the game consisted of Crash 3. So I assume that Activision will most likely be doing the same advertisement plan for the Spyro Reignited Trilogy, where in time to come we'll eventually see Spyro 2, and then very close to the release of the actual game in September, we'll start seeing footage to do with Spyro 3 Year of the Dragon, which is my personal favorite. I really cannot wait to see what the levels of Spyro 3 are looking like. But I just gotta say hands down that this is beautiful. Spyro is clearly on a different level compared to that of Crash Bandicoot, and obviously Crash was first. He got his remake last year, and it was beautiful what Vicarious Visions did to recreate that classic, and how they kept that authentic sort of feeling but within the game was really good. So I'm hoping for the same sort of treatment here with the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. I appreciate the fact that they actually showed us a couple of the different levels in this trailer from the PlayStation 1 version, and then did a quick transition to show us exactly what these levels are now looking like in the Reignited trailer. This shows us that Toys for Bob are trying to knuckle down on keeping the exact same level geometry, while also adding in lots of different extra stuff that wasn't there in the original. Because of course we now have things like trees where trees weren't usually, we've got stuff like bushes, grass that sticks up, and other sort of decorations that are placed around these levels that once didn't used to be there. But like I was saying before, Crash is kind of on a different scope compared to that of Spyro. With Crash's gameplay, it's very linear with its levels. You essentially just follow one pathway from start to finish. But with Spyro's world design is almost like open world areas, or at least very small open world areas. And seeing these type of environments, big large open environments in a remade format, is super beautiful to see, and it kind of makes sense as to why Spyro would come after Crash and not before it, mainly because the development cycle of Spyro would likely take a bit longer than Crash, just due to the levels that the Spyro games contain. All around though, I'm really satisfied with this remake so far. It's looking extremely promising. The way that Toys for Bob have captured the Spyro aesthetic, but in a modern day format, is super impressive. You know, it contains that cartoony aesthetic and style, but then again, all while remaining authentic to what Spyro used to be. So it's a really cool thing to see. Now the next thing is Spyro's actual character model. This is one topic that I know a lot of people, including myself, were extremely worried about before the actual official announcement of the Spyro trilogy. A lot of us were kind of thinking that perhaps maybe Activision would try and push to use the Skylanders version of Spyro within the trilogy. A lot of us were hoping that this is not going to happen, and of course it didn't happen. Yay, we have a very clean-cut, fresh-looking, amazing Dragon Boy right here, which does look very close to his original PlayStation 1 design. If anything though, I want to say that this design of Spyro reminds me a lot of the Enter the Dragonfly Spyro, the very first PlayStation 2 Spyro game. But I don't know, that's just me, but I think the Spyro model looks really, really clean. But that's basically my thoughts on the game itself. I think this is looking extremely promising as of right now. Like I was saying, we've only received one trailer so far, so I would say the next place we'll receive some more footage and some more stuff towards the Reignited Trilogy will likely be E3, happening very, very soon. I'm excited to see more of this game, especially to see Spyro 2 as well as Spyro 3. The one thing that I think is super important, especially for a game like this, similar to the Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy, is that the developers absolutely have to nail the controls in terms of making the controls feel authentic and original to what the original was. Now, I know this is kind of controversial when looking towards the Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy, because some people would argue that the controls aren't completely 100% authentic, and in actuality, it's true. The controls aren't 100% authentic to what the original Crash Bandicoot controls are. There's actually a very interesting video on YouTube that kind of explains this, but for me personally, the controls in the N. Sane Trilogy were close enough to the original where when I was actually playing the game, it felt like an authentic experience. So I'm hoping for the same thing with Spyro. The controls are likely not to be the exact same, but the developers are obviously trying to recreate the control scheme and the feel of how the game plays as close to the original as possible. So I really think that's the only important thing that the developers really need to focus on when looking towards Spyro. Otherwise, the rest is pretty straightforward. Essentially, these guys are just recreating a game that already exists. And I think in the ways of like visuals, the graphics of the game, it's looking aesthetically pleasing. So what it comes down to now is just nailing the control scheme. With all that being said, guys, that's my thoughts and opinions towards the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Be sure to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Are you guys super excited for this? I know I am. This is definitely going to be one of the major releases for me this year, aside from Kingdom Hearts 3, of course. However, guys, I've been Cynical. Hopefully you dudes are having an absolutely fantastic day. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.
Hit them on the page, you'll be coming through stunning. Gold in my mouth when you suckers be bluffing. Milk crate, gaming up your bitch though. Catch me in the back playing Super Nintendo.